Welcome to Hockenheim for the first round of the Carrera Cup in 2017. It is the Porsche Carrera Cup about to take to the track, and the grid is set ready for the first race. Hockenheim, Lausitzring, Red Bull Ring, Norris Ring, Nürburgring twice, and then the Sachsenring and Hockenheim in what will be a very big season for the Carrera Cup in 2017. So the cars are set then, and lots and lots of new faces. The Porsche Junior there, Dennis Olsen, who managed to qualify the car P2. And it's Michael Ammermuller that will be going from pole position, the very, very experienced racer. Dennis Olsen, then Porsche Junior, of course, Sven Muller. Porsche Junior, we'll find out a little bit more about in just a few moments' time in the program, because, of course, he became the champion. So the one-make Carrera Cup, then, phenomenally successful, and a very big grid of cars for this year. It was 1 year ago, Sven Muller winning the Porsche Carrera Cup Championship for 2016 here in Hockenheim. The German, now a Porsche Works driver, from a junior driver to double champion in 7 days. Because after winning the Carrera Cup Deutschland title, the 24-year-old German also took home the crown of the International Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup only 7 days later. On Sunday, Muller clinched 8th position at the season finale run as support to the Formula 1 race in Austin, Texas. Who's going to be champion in 2017 then? Michael Ammermuller is the favourite to win the title. 31 years of old, very experienced Porsche driver in Carrera Cup. He has pole for race 1 and for race 2 at Hockenheim. So Michael Ammermuller, very much a driver to watch. Also one to watch, though, is going to be the Porsche Junior that we will see. Here he is, Dennis Olsen, driving the #1 car, took P2 in qualification for both races. So expect a big challenge to Michael Ammermuller from the Porsche Junior, Dennis Olsen. So Dennis Olsen then, he picks up the mantle of Porsche Junior, and Christopher Zoechling, who's racing for the MRS GT Racing as a guest starter, ends up P3 for today. Another driver with good experience in Porsche Carrera Cup racing. Zoechling, based in the UK, comes from Bristol, manages to put the car on P3 for today's race. Alongside me is former Carrera Cup star, former single-seater star, endurance racer, and someone that has a huge experience of these Porsche cars. Michael Ammermuller, all the experience he has, pole position, race is won, isn't it, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the most experienced guy now out there in the grid.
Yeah.
I think he has 6 years of experience or 7 years racing these cars. So, yeah, I mean, this will play a big role into his race and his experience in the way how he will manage the pace and to be in the front of the grid.
What's interesting is Michael Ammermuller now is 31 years of age. He, of course, was a very, very big single-seater racer. And what's very interesting is the fact that he's developed a fantastic career racing GT cars, hasn't he?
Yeah. We see him not only racing Carrera Cup and Super Cup. He's also taking part in other programs from Porsche in, for example, VLN on Endurance Championship.
Yes.
So, like you said, he was a big star, a big prominent driver in single-seaters, but he made a good career into GT racing.
How much pressure is on this young man? Dennis Olsen, Porsche Junior, was Porsche Junior last year, of course, with Sven Muller. Knowing what Sven Muller achieved last year, will the height of expectation on Dennis Olsen be so great that the pressure will get to him?
I mean, I know Dennis Olsen, it's pretty calm down guy, but he somehow needs to show some performance this year. It's his second year as a Porsche Junior, and always second year as a Porsche Junior, you always need to show a bit what you can, if you can be in the front and win races and keep this pressure.
He's got to deliver, hasn't he?
He has to deliver, exactly.
Christopher Zoechling then is guest driver. We'll see if he puts together a campaign for longer during the course of the year. He will go from P3 with the MRS GT Racing Porsche. But there we're looking at our pole sitter, Michael Ammermuller, who was victorious, was hero and zero just a weekend ago in GT racing, where he took a good win, but then really struggled with, actually it was a car failure in the second race. But Michael Ammermuller, the car looks absolutely fantastic, I have to say, and he did all the hard work in qualifying, and I mean, actually, the margin between himself and Olsen was well, it was under a tenth, wasn't it? So it was very close.
Yeah, this means we see in a category like Porsche Carrera Cup, we see how close the grid is. You can have from P1 to P10 within less than a second, or even sometimes tenth.
Yes.
So definitely it doesn't mean he will pull over in the race. So we will see a race with fights, with overtaking, with a lot of action.
Now, the Carrera Cup drivers, they love Hockenheim. There's a good crowd here to see race day one here at Hockenheim. This circuit, one that's familiar to most of them, but we do have a number of new names in the Carrera Cup this year. And of course, we should explain that Carrera Cup has two categories. There's A drivers and B drivers. Alex Toril, driver. What's the difference between A and B, please?
We have a professional or pro category, which is for all drivers which are less than 40 years old. So they are, let's say, thinking on professional career and so on. And then we have a B category for all those racing drivers who just do this for fun, to enjoy the weekend, and they have business at home. They have other tasks rather than racing.
Yes.
And so this, for them, this B amateur Wertung, which is meaning in German classification, and those are the two classifications. And then the third one is the rookie championship, which are also for the newcomers, which are younger than 25 years old.
Okay, now here from earlier on today, proving just how this track and these cars can bite you at times. There was a problem for the Jorn Schmidt-Stade car. And actually, whilst you will see during the course of the race, talk about wring the neck out of these cars. The drivers really push them very, very hard. But actually, Alex, they're quite sensitive, aren't they? You can do damage quite easily.
Yeah, I mean, it's a car which allows you to push and to lie into other one, but you have to take sort of care what you're doing, because it can also break like every race car.
And the other unique thing about the Carrera Cup is the points categorization, because if you win the race, you bank 20 points, P2 gives you 18 points. I mean, the points margin is not as great as it is in some other series. So actually, you never get a huge margin at the front. Whoever is leading the points, you know, they still have to keep working for it. They can never build themselves a big enough cushion, really.
No, you have to always be in the front, stay there, keep winning races, be in the podium, so you have a real option to be at the end of the season in the top 3 position.
Here's the grid in full for you. Amma Muller-Olsen, then it was Zoechling and Preining, Thomas Preining. Welcome to Thomas Preining. David Kochman, Ryan Cullen, Ten Voorde. And then it's Luca Rettenberger, Skug, Piana, Naken, Wolfgang Triller, Gonda, Saga, Haschchild, Schmidt-Stade, Wolfner Tan. Then it's Rivas Yellerli, Raykopf, Kaifa, Wolf and Schufen. What a grid of cars. Has to be said, during 2016, not as many cars on the grid as we would have liked to have seen. It's back to where it should be for 2017, that's for sure. Cars then on their formation lap then, ahead of getting to the grid. And of course, a number of these drivers very well known to you, Alex, and teams also very well known to you, as we look at Christoph Huber there from the Huber team, the very left of your picture there, the bespectacled Christoph Huber, who for many, many years associated with Walter Lechner, another one of the famous names associated with Carrera Cup and other racing as well. So yes, so a number of those drivers known to you, taking into account the experience of Mikael Ammermuller. Who else should we look out for in the grid this year, do you think?
I mean, for sure, Dennis Olsen and always the Porsche Junior drivers are drivers you need to take into account and look at. One driver we need to also look closely is Nick Jelloli. I think he got deleted. His lap time is quite dropped in the grid, but he for sure will deliver a good performance.
Yes, and it's interesting, Nick Jelloli, a guy we had in commentary with us last year, another very experienced racer, single-seater of course, and you know, was hoping to go all the way, and indeed it does simulation driving for Force India. He would like to have gone to Formula One, of course, but has chosen to go down a different career path now. And it was very much a sort of a learning year for him in the Carrera Cup last year to get his handle on it, and he's got it now. And he certainly looked very, very quick during free practices and qualifying. You say his lap time will have been deleted. Presumably that would be for a track limit excursion.
Yeah, as I was looking free practice, I saw some deleted lap time, so probably they check afterwards in race control and they saw he maybe also in his fastest lap went too far away and he got also a lap time cancel. But as a driver, I have to say that sometimes really hard to control this because it's a really small margin between you are in or outside the tracks.
And this is the white line.
Yes, it's the white line.
What we're talking about here, the rules are two wheels over the white line is acceptable, 4 wheels is not.
Is not.
Fine. Thanks for explaining that. can only come from a racing driver, and delighted to have Alex Torrell alongside us here. Chauffeur then in the number 22 car puts his car into grid order right at the very back. Once we get the car right at the very back in grid position, we'll get the green flag from the marshal who's at the rear of the grid, and once that has happened, now from our commentary position here we see the grid boxes. Mikael Ammermuller is perhaps a metre away from the start of his grid box, which surprises me. You would think he wants to get every centimetre that he possibly can. You can see it now on the picture to the very right of your screen.
Yeah, it's missing, I would say, around a metre.
Okay, let's see if Olsen's going to be able to take advantage of that. There's the green flag, therefore we'll throw the lights to the top of the screen for you as we're about to go racing. It's race number 1 in the Carrera Cup Deutschland for 2017. Let's go racing. Ammermuller gets a blistering start. Zöchling puts himself into P3. But that was a fine start from Mikael Ammermuller. As we look at everyone else through turn number 1, do they all get through safely? Yes, they do. So Mikael Ammermuller, then it's Dennis Olsen, then it's Zöchling in P3. Through turn number 2 now come all the cars, and on to the very, very fast Parabolica. And this is where Ammermuller will try and stretch his legs a bit and try and build up a little bit of a cushion between himself and the Porsche Junior driver, Dennis Olsen, who is P2. But Olsen is not letting him get away. He's gone to the outside of Ammermuller now. He's ahead of Ammermuller, but this hairpin is really tough to get right. And Zöchling just looked and thought perhaps he would have an opportunity there to try and wrestle away P2, P3 and become P2, but he wasn't able to do it. Brilliant racing. And they're side by side. The number 3 car of Luca Rettenbacher in the Conrad Motorsport colours. Conrad Motorsport, of course, run by Franz Conrad, been involved in Carrera Cup racing and Porsche racing overall for many, many years, know how to engineer a car. And that's the team that Dennis Olsen has elected to go with for 2017, and he's still continuing to hound Mikael Ammermuller. So it's Ammermuller leading from Olsen P2 into the final 2 turns here at Hockenheim. And the top 3 just beginning to break away a little bit from Thomas Preining, classified as a rookie driver for this year, currently running in P4. The order on the screen for you then: Ammermuller, Olsen, Zöchling, then it's Preining, Kochman, Ten Voorde, then it's Rettenbacher and Ryan Cullen. Very, very good opening lap, Alex Torrell.
Yeah, really, really clean, to be honest. No major damage. I think I haven't even seen a car touch. So no, it's nice to see everyone went through corner 1 and corner 2, and everyone can enjoy his race. Now it's up to them to get farther or lower in the stands.
Well, the one that is certainly trying to get up the order is Nick Yellerly. Then, once again, Zöchling takes a look at Dennis Olsen. Dennis Olsen is really in this unfortunate position now, as there comes a little bit of a touch, just a little nerve to say, I'm here, as if Dennis didn't know that. Now, as Olsen has to switch from attacking Ammermuller to defending against Zöchling, that really plays into the hands of Mikael Ammermuller, who should be able to get up the road now.
Exactly. Now it's a really good thing when you are leading a small group, or in this case the race, and you have the 2 drivers behind you fighting. This gives you a little bit of air to push and open a small gap. And then you can focus on, let's say, keep driving, looking at the front and not more to the mirrors.
Here in replay then comes that little love tap. Bosch from Christopher Zöchling on the back of Dennis Olsen. Certainly didn't unsettle the car in any way at all, and it wasn't malicious, was it? But that's how close they are, and you can just see a couple of car lengths now that Ammermuller has been able to pull away from Dennis Olsen, that is running in P2. Carrera Cup Deutschland there. Ammermuller then 5/10 over Olsen, then it's Zöchling just 3/10 behind Olsen, then it's Preining, Kochman, Ten Voorde, Luca Rettenbacher is P7, and Ryan Cullen is P8. Nick Yellerly pushed himself up to P11 now. Keep an eye on him, he's really pushing hard. You can see the Nick Yellerly car. It's got Piana now is next in his target sights as Nick Yellerly tries to move up the order. And pushing with all his might. further down, side-by-side racing going on, but this battle for P2 continues unabated, doesn't it? David Coltman just having a look at Ten Border actually taking a look at Coltman as those two are battling together there. And there is Christopher Zoechling. We pick up on this battle now. Whoa, and that was a little bit of a mistake, wasn't it, from Gabriella Piana? Racing for the Black Falcon team, a team that you're very familiar with, Alex Torrill.
Yeah, it's my endurance team, the one I'm racing in the VLN and Nürburgring Championship. Yeah, we saw there the typical thing or the mistake that happens with this car. You need to take into account it's a car without ABS.
Yes.
So no brake assist for the drivers, no brake help. So it's really easy to lock the car. And once you lock the wheel, you lose the apex of the corner. You round wide, and this is what's happened. So it's also hard for the drivers to control this.
Okay. Yellowly is on an absolute charge. He's very much one to watch as this race develops. On lap 3 of 14, Ammermuller, Olsen, Zoechling remains the same 1, 2, 3 as Olsen runs very, very wide there, just allows Zoechling to get even closer. But Yellowly now is up to P9. He is coming through, cutting through this grid of cars like a hot knife through butter. Nick Yellowly then wanting to put right the errors, if you like, of perhaps excursions over track limits, which cost him dearly in terms of where he started race number 1. Now Olsen very much in defend mode. Zoechling to the outside. Ammermuller up the road trying to escape. Now Olsen tries to make the Porsche as wide as possible to try and prevent Zoechling. Now if Zoechling can get his nose in front, he would have the inside for the next turn, but he wasn't able to do so. Olsen just stuck his elbows out, didn't he, and make sure that inevitably or undoubtedly between those two, he is the quickest. So battle going on there with Ten Border then. Battling with the number 3 car of Luca Rattenbacher. At the moment, the number 10 car showing the number 3 car a clean pair of heels for Project One and to Limit Motorsport there. But Luca Rattenbacher, who of course has got experience in the Carrera Cup Deutschland and also great experience of this Hockenheim circuit, is really pushing him hard. A little mistake there means that he can get ever closer. So an overtake about to happen now, I feel sure. And also trying to buy into this is Ryan Cullen, of course. And who's behind Ryan Cullen? It's Nick Yellowly now, right on the back of that little pack of 4. And that battle is going on for P6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, I think probably even P10 will come close. So we might have a big group of cars fighting for the top position.
Here's a replay of the start then, and it went really well, didn't it, Alex?
Yeah, looks really good, really clean. Like I said, no one had a major crash.
And despite the fact that Michael Ammermuller left about a metre of grid box that he didn't need to, gave him a bit of a slingshot start from a standing start, didn't it? Because he didn't put a foot wrong. Really delivered a perfect start.
It was a spot on the light.
Yes. Nick Yellowly also very brisk in his getting away as well. All the cars from the rear view camera then looking into turn number 1. Looking at the rear of that turn. And on the left-hand side there, Christoph Huber nods his head in appreciation. Ten Border there running very wide, as cars often do. And in fairness, lap 1, race stewards tend to be a little bit more lenient, don't they, in terms of track limits. Now, interestingly, Dennis Olsen has seen off the charge from Christopher Zoechling and is now beginning to put the pressure back on Michael Ammermuller again. Right, there is Ten Border, there is Luca Rattenbacher, and now there is Nick Yellowly. So, Nick Yellowly, as I said, he's the man that, in my opinion, is on a real charge at the moment and one to really watch out for. We've still got 10 laps of this race still to come. The order on screen for you, Ammermuller, Olsen, Zoechling, that remains unchanged. With Thomas Preining, then David Coltman, P5. Then it is Ten Border, who's in this fight with Luca Rattenbacher. And soon to join the party is Nick Yellowly with Ryan Cullen. Then it's Skoog, Piana, Naken, and Wolfgang Triller in the B category, running in P13. Now, The cork in this bottle, Alex Toril, is Larry Tenvoorde, the rookie driver, isn't he?
Yeah, this was looking, as we saw yesterday and also today in qualifying, was looking really strong in the pace, in the qualifying. And look, we see, oh, it's Olsen attacking Ammermüller.
Now Ammermüller will put his elbows out, won't he? And they're going to be side by side as they head towards the next turn. But Ammermüller there has done enough. Now, was that a really ambitious move from Dennis Olsen? Hopefully we'll see it in replay, because I reckon it came from a long way back and he dived up the inside at the hairpin there. Yeah. Here we go.
No, it was not so far away.
No, it wasn't. And in fairness, Ammermüller tried to close the door, but by then the commitment was made, wasn't it? But then you can just see Ammermüller is able to carry more momentum through that hairpin turn. You can try and move there, but you're having to scrub off so much speed, aren't you, Alex?
Yeah, and also you have to be really safe that you do the move, because it's a really tight corner, so it's not easy to turn around and fast.
And now what that's done is brought Zögling back into attack mode on Dennis Olsen. So Ammermüller rubs his hands with invisible soap and thinks, just for the moment, I can breathe again. Not quite at half distance of this Carrera Cup Deutschland race number 1. Ammermüller leading now by 6/10 over Dennis Olsen. There's just 3/10 between Dennis Olsen and Christopher Zögling. Thomas Preining sort of out on his own, really, with David Kolkman not far behind. So we continue to watch. The man that's looked really, really aggressive here is Christopher Zögling. Certainly has tried, but Dennis Olsen last time around this Parabolica was setting up his move on Mikael Ammermüller. He's not going to be close enough to be able to do so on this occasion, and nor do I think is Zögling close enough. So Ammermüller breaks now. Olsen does the same, and well, Zögling gets closer than anyone, and Thomas Preining now coming under a bit of pressure from David Kolkman. So Larry Tenvoorde then, who is running in P6. Then it's Luca Rettenbacher, then it is Nick Yellowly. Bit of a lock-up there from Rettenbacher in the number 3 car. Doesn't appear to have cost him too much, but Nick Yellowly getting even closer to the Conrad Motorsport car ahead of him. Mentioned right at the start of the program, he would be one to watch from his starting position much further down the order than he would have liked to have been. And yellow somewhere, where is that?
Turn 8, that's the Mercedes arena, I think.
Okay.
But it's again green flag, so maybe someone run off.
Okay. So crossing the timing line, Ammermüller still 6/10, and Olsen just takes another 10th out of the hard-charging Christopher Zögling car that we look at there. The speed these cars are carrying, and that will be what the yellow was for. It's Philip Sager from Zelle Racing in the B category, pirouetting the car, taking up a bit of dirt, but is able to recover from there without too much problem. So, heart-in-the-mouth moment, Alex Toril.
I mean, lose the car there, it's not a bad situation. It's a fast corner with a lot of grip on the left side, and if you lose the car, we saw already before in qualifying a car crushing there.
Yes. Well, Olsen once again took a look at Ammermüller through that hairpin, but wasn't able to do anything. Mikael Ammermüller, bear in mind, he's got so much experience in these cars, knows exactly where to place that to try and deny Olsen the opportunity to try and come by. And in fairness, that hairpin turn is one of the favourite overtaking places, isn't it, Alex? But you do have to set it up really, really well and make sure that as you exit the turn that you're going to be able to stay there.
Yeah, it's really important to get a really good run out of the turn 2. Then the small turn 3, with this car, is flat out. You go over the curb, it's not a problem. But like I said, it's really important you go early and good on power and without... And using the traction of the car down to the hairpin so you can have the chance to do movement.
Nick Yellowly has made it up to P7 now. So Yellowly will be chasing down what is effectively his teammate in the number 10 car, the rookie driver Larry Tenvoorde. And be interesting to see just how quickly Yellowly is able to get onto the back of Larry's car there, the two Deutsche Post liveried cars together. Now, both of them running for the same Project One Motorsport team, but each driver's out there for his own. There's no team orders, is there, Alex?
Here in Porsche Cup we have no team orders, everyone is on its own, so you have to push from the beginning to the end as much as you can and drive as fast as possible without crashing.
Oh, of course. There is David Coltman, also for the Project One team. So you have 3 of those cars together running P5, P6 and P7. Coltman, Larry Tenvorde is P6, and then Nick Yellerly, as I said, who is up to P7 now. And Thomas Preining, all of a sudden, from Conrad Motorsport, is going to have 3 Project One cars lining up behind him. So Thomas Preining then in the duck blue colours of Conrad Motorsport. And David Coltman is within a second behind him. And Nick Yellerly very slowly but surely reeling in Larry Tenvorde as well. There is the Nick Yellerly car. Just behind that, Luca Rettenbacher having a bit of a battle with Ryan Cullen. And they're battling over P8 and P9. This is the interesting little skirmish that we're watching between the 2 teammate drivers. And just look how P1 and P2 have been able to get away now from Christopher Zoechling. Is that because he pushed so very hard in the early stages?
Yeah, I think that the rhythm they have, the top 3, the rhythm they have as a driver, it's step forward, and the guys coming back. We see Thomas Preining, I think is the first rookie driver. Then you see 3 experienced drivers. They know how to behave in race and how to follow the pace of each other. We see small lockup from Amme Müller.
And this is the point I was making. Amme Müller, Olsen, they've both pulled away from Christopher Zoechling now in P3. Now, is that because Zoechling just pushed the car so hard in the early stages of the race?
Probably.
Now, here comes Olsen. Sorry, Alex. Right alongside Mikael Amme Müller now. If Olsen can get his nose in front and be first into the hairpin turn number 1, but surely Amme Müller. Now he's going to try and go underneath him here, isn't he?
And it's a little bit of power oversteer, but I think he's done it. I think he did a really good thing.
Because this will give him the inside line for the next turn.
Yeah.
Brilliant move from Dennis Olsen, as a Porsche Junior doing exactly what he needed to do. He set that up perfectly, and he set that up midway around the Parabolica, didn't he, Alex Torrell?
Yeah, he did a perfect move. He stood on the outside brake, probably a little bit later, went round a bit wider, and then used this B-turn to rotate the car and go earlier than Amme Müller on power and get the inside line.
Brilliant overtake. Amme Müller will be furious with that, because you can see it coming, and that has now meant that Zoechling has come back into play a little bit in P3, but now, if he's got the car underneath him, Dennis Olsen will try and escape up the road from Mikael Amme Müller. Now he's made that Conrad Motorsport car the P1 car over Mikael Amme Müller P2, and Christopher Zoechling is P3. Here they go, cross the timing line, another lap completed and in the book. 4 laps left to run in this Carrera Cup Deutschland race. Of course, the 2 races across the weekend, one is slightly shorter than the other, 1:25 minutes, 1:35 minutes, Alex. Here it is in replay. Just out-dragged him, didn't he? And was very, very late on the brakes.
Late on the brakes, it runs wider, it goes farther away in the corner, then do the typical switchback, go early on power. There we saw a little bit of wheel spin, but didn't cost him much of time. Yeah, a little bit of power oversteer, but he did perfectly. He did what he needed to do.
That was really good overtake. And one very happy team principal, Mr. Franz Conrad there. Applauds the Porsche Juniors' efforts. In the meantime,
it's Tom Kiefer running out in the entry of Motordrome.
That's your team, isn't it? And
yep.
How difficult is this? And we can see it there brilliantly on screen. He's brought a load of gravel out onto the track.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is when someone drops some gravel into the track or brings some gravel, it cleans really quick.
Okay.
The only issue is when the cars go through on the first time, it's like a rain of stones. We can see a little bit of dust here.
Yep.
But it's not a major issue to have some gravel on the track.
Amme Müller is not giving up on this, but I think Olsen has done enough just to give himself a little breathing space, hasn't he? Margin last time around was 0.6 between P1 and P2. And how's this little battle getting on then? Well, Coltman has ahead of Ten Voorde and Nick Yellerly on the back of them now as well. Nick Yellerly just taking a look at the inside here. So these are three, effectively, teammates, but all racing for themselves and all trying to get terms with Thomas Preining, who is the Conrad Motorsport car ahead. Big lock up there from Kolkman. He's under pressure now, isn't he?
Yes, they're definitely under pressure. As a team principal...
It's the worst nightmare, isn't it?
It's not the best situation to see all your three cars fighting for the same position and start to see lockups and pushing and loft ups, but this is racing. As like we said before, there is no team direction, so...
Keep an eye on Nick Yellerly here. He's gone wide outside, but if he can get that switch back, he could potentially do both of them at the same time. This is Nick Yellerly then. He's right alongside Ten Voorde. He's going to get him, but he's not going to get Kolkman. But Nick Yellerly, again, it was almost like a mirrored maneuver, wasn't it, of the maneuver we saw from Dennis Olsen. Again, another big lockup from David Kolkman. He's really suffering the pressure now, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely, and it's also an issue or a situation as a driver you need to take care. Once you get a lockup, it's really easy to get more and more because this flat spot you have on the tire, as soon as you brake, it's a flattened part of the tire. It gets again on that spot and locks again because the tire is not more round.
So we hear this a lot in motor racing, don't we? It's another lockup comes from Kolkman. That, you know, when you flat spot your tyre, it becomes like an English 50p piece, which has got, you know, and what you're saying is when that part is in contact with the tarmac and you brake again, the tyre is naturally going to stop there, isn't it? It's not going to go over that ridge.
Exactly.
So, and that's why we see more frequent lockups potentially from that car now. Nick Yellerly all over the back of David Kolkman. Kolkman out wide, Yellerly on the inside now, but that's the outside for the next turn. Beg your pardon, no, it's not, it's the inside for the next turn. And Nick Yellerly and Larry Ten Voorde trying to have a go at Kolkman as well now as they're into the Parabolica. And Nick Yellerly, in the space of 1.5 laps, has done both of them, Alex Torrell.
Now, really great move, but now let's see down to the hairpin because they are still close. And he's still not finished.
Yes, you're right, it isn't still finished. They were very clean and tidy driving from Nick Yellerly. Kolkman on the outside now. Yellerly will stick his elbows out to prevent Larry Ten Voorde and also Kolkman coming past, and both of them having a go, and Nick Yellerly's really in the middle of that sandwich.
I know Hans Ben, team principal of Project One. I don't want to be in his skin at the moment.
Oh, well, fair play to them for delivering great racing. A little bit of a lock-up there from Nick Yellerly. And Larry Ten Voorde, who actually, for a rookie driver into the Carrera Cup, tell you what, he's going for it, isn't he, Alex?
Yeah, he's pushing 100% and fighting, say, hey, I'm here, I can do it as well. I can drive fast and fighting for top 5 positions.
Yellerly now beginning to break away from them because Ten Voorde and Kolkman have got embroiled in their own battle there, haven't they? Big beneficiary of this, though, Alex Torrell, of that battle between the three Project One cars is probably Thomas Preining, isn't it?
Yeah, we saw he already pulled a gap away, and this gave him a little bit of air, which it's almost like around 3 seconds, I would say. Now you have the time screen. Yeah, it's 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds gap.
Okay.
When we're into the final lap.
Goodness me, where's that race gone? Whoa! Just off at the back, I saw a car really flying across the runoff area and into the gravel. You can just see the front of it there, waved yellows there, and that went off at really high speed. Whether there was a problem with the car or not, that was, that's Ryan Cullen. Ryan Cullen is off. So we'll get a replay of that, and that was at turn number 1, isn't it?
Yep, but it looks the car damaged on the right side.
Yeah.
So probably he got tapped by someone.
In replay then.
No. Just
over the curbs, and lost it, didn't he? And the damage came with the impact.
Yeah, he had some. Yeah. Oh, that's a big impact.
Yes, carrying a fair amount of speed into that, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So that's sad to see. Ryan Cullen out then. Amma Muller is P2. Dennis Olsen, though, is the man that is driving in P1. That fantastic overtake that came earlier in the race. He was like a viper, wasn't he? He just set that up and pounced. Sorry for the snake reference, which will upset both Alex and I. Neither of us being particularly fond of the animals. Car number 1, Dennis Olsen then. The Porsche Junior for Conrad Motorsport has done everything really, really well and heads to take the checkered flag for race number 1. Dennis Olsen wins. Michael Ammermuller P2. Christopher Zoechling is P3. Franz Conrad and the entire Conrad Motorsport team celebrate as another one of their cars crosses the line for P4. That's Thomas Preining. Then it's Yellerly, Larry ten Voorde, who's really impressed me. David Kolkman, Luca Rettenbacher takes P8. And it's Skug P9 and Piana is P10 with Nakan and Triller taking P11 and P12. And we return to Franz Conrad. When a driver wins, the team wins as well. When a driver loses, the team loses. The team actually shares every emotion, doesn't it, Alex?
Yeah, of course. It's motor racing. At the end, it's the driver sitting alone in the car, but it's a team effort. Because as we spoke also before, it's the engineer, it's important, the mechanics are important. So every part, every side of the team, it's as important as the driver when it's sitting on the car.
Well, that's very diplomatic.
No,
and I expected you to say, no, I'm the most important person, Dave. That's what I expected you to say, but you didn't say it. So I'm impressed with that. Good job we get on, really, isn't it? Although, perhaps coming into this weekend, we did get on. Tail end of this weekend, perhaps we won't. Well, it was a very interesting race, that's for sure. And one thing was proved, and that is that the race isn't won in the first lap. And Dennis Olsen in the early stages really didn't look like he'd got the pace of Michael Ammermuller, but he just set it all up perfectly mid-race and did the job. Dennis Olsen, the winner. Michael Ammermuller, P2. Then it was Christopher Zoechling, Thomas Preining, Nick Yellerly, Larry ten Voorde. Then it was David Kolkman, Luca Rettenbacher, Skug, and Piana rounding out the top 10. Excellent race. Now, Nick Yellerly, who has taken P5, will be pretty pleased with the pace that he had when we consider his starting position on the grid. You know, he had a lot of work to do, a lot of cars to get past, didn't he, as we take super slow-mos of the winner, Dennis Olsen.
Yeah, I think he improves around, I think it was P14 on the start, so improved around 9 positions, so it's quite a... That's a good job.
Yeah.
Thing is now, don't know if they, because you get the grid, your personal best time is for race number 2, so probably he can manage, I have to check the qualifying, I think tomorrow he can start in the front rows.
Okay.
So, he maybe has this chance to fight for the podium, but it shows he had a really good pace.
And there the checkered flag falls on the Dennis Olsen car. It's a year that he has got to impress, and he's certainly started it in the right way, hasn't he, Dennis Olsen? And there's Franz Conrad awaiting him. Cars into the Parc Fermé area. Now this man, as a team principal, has seen so much success over the years. Still as enthusiastic with every race win. Itching to get in there and congratulate his driver, Dennis Olsen. He's a nice young chap, Dennis. I've spoken to him on a number of occasions. Very unassuming, Alex. Quite quiet.
Yeah, I mean, we chat quite a lot together, and when we are somewhere testing and we hang quite a few times together. So really cool guy.
Yeah.
And let's say even a good friend of mine. So no, it's like you said, also good to talk to him. Easy to talk.
Yes. So being interviewed at the moment, which of course is all part of the Porsche Junior learning experience, isn't it? And here was the overtake. Talk us through this, Mr. Torrell.
Yeah, I mean, we have within the program of Porsche, we have the head of coach, which is Sasha Massen. We saw already in the images behind. He's taking care of all the Porsche juniors, and he's bringing also some knowledge to the drivers regarding data and regarding performance. And of course, he's also analyzing all the races in video before and after every weekend. and for sure, I'm 100% sure he's pleased with this overtaking maneuver. And there's some stuff they all also train together when they are doing their coaching.
And how important is this as a racing driver? You know, this media relationship that you need to have, because you know a racing driver has got to interact well with the media to make the most of this. Christoph Huber offering congratulations to Dennis Olsen. Yeah, that media element is also important in the overall makeup of a racing driver, isn't it?
Of course, it's really important to be close to the media, because at the end we need them. Without them, no one will knows about us racing here in Hockenheim this weekend. So it's really important to be close to them. So look at me, I'm sitting here next to you.
Yes, and this is precisely why I mentioned you to Dieter Gas yesterday. However, he wasn't as instantly aware of you as perhaps he should have been, so we will continue to work on that during the course of the season. Right, we're going to be heading up to the podium in a few moments, and there is the race-winning car of Dennis Olsen then, and Franz Conrad has always remained faithful to that colour, hasn't he? Have you ever heard the story of how the colour came about?
No. I don't know.
Would you like me to tell you?
Yeah, tell me, come on.
We're looking at Michael Ammermüller's car at the moment. Basically, they were off for a racing weekend and they needed to paint the front of the car, and they'd forgotten to paint the front of the car. And in the van, because it was a van and trailer in those days, happened to be a tin of paint that was that colour.
Oh.
And that's what they painted. And from there on in, the colour has stuck. There you go. That is the story behind the legend of the colour of Franz Conrad. Something else that, you know, I've told you.
Yeah, I don't know everything, Dave.
No, you don't. No, slightly disappointing. Dennis Olsen then clambering out of the car, and he was absolutely thrilled with that. And I have to say, I'm very impressed. He waited and bided his time, didn't he? And their driver and team principal together. Really good to see. In the A category then, 25 points to Dennis Olsen, 20 points to Michael Ammermüller. Christopher Zoechling on 16 points, Thomas Preining on 13, Nick Yellerly on 11, Larry Tenvorder on 10 points. And there is the point I was making with regards to points, is the unique way that the Carrera Cup is scored in terms of points means that, you know, you never get a huge advantage, do you?
No, it's everything really close. So, like we talked before, we need to always take care and stay close together, stay up in the front always, so you can have a chance at the end of the year to win a championship.
So Michael Ammermüller to the very left, the bespectacled Michael Ammermüller, the very tall Christopher Zoechling taking on water, and Dennis Olsen to the right-hand side. And then beyond those are the three B category drivers that will be taking their own podium, of course. And lots of love. That's Wolfgang Triller just attacking Zoechling then with a bottle of water. Thrust down his back. We've had some fantastic, entertaining racing from the Carrera Cup. We've had some fantastic, entertaining podiums as well. Let's hope all the drivers are able to keep all the fluid in their mouths on this particular podium. A little in-joke there between myself and the racing driver Alex Torrell, and we're grateful to have had him alongside us, offering us the benefit of his experience in Carrera Cup. And those three Project One cars together, bouncing over those curbs, they really do throw everything at it. And that, unfortunately, was Ryan Cullen, who threw rather too much at that turn one curb and ended up in the gravel. Wasn't able to complete the race, sadly. So just moments away from the podium, and there is Ryan Cullen. Pretty disappointed, as you can see. From our vantage point high in the grandstands here at Hockenheim, we can see that the podium is not far off being readied, and the drivers will be appearing on that podium. At the moment we're behind it, as you can see, Ammermüller, Olsen and Zoechling there with the B category drivers behind. They have a separate podium, so podiums for both A and B categories. Wolfgang Triller, Stefan Raykov, and Wolf Natan will be the drivers up on the B podium. But it's the A podium that we will be seeing first of all. Sadly, we don't have a microphone down there on the podium because I'd love to hear the conversation that was going on between Dennis Olsen and Christopher Zögling. Mikael Ammermuller not taking part in the conversation at the moment.
Yeah, it's looking a bit serious.
But then Mikael Ammermuller always looks a bit serious.
Yeah.
He does smile, but yeah, he's always very focused, and yeah, I think it's the glasses as well that kind of add to his serious look, if you know what I mean. The no-frame glasses kind of always make you look a bit demure, if I may say. So the podium does get underway then. Christopher Zögling, he does an awful lot of racing, both in Europe and in the Middle East. And Mikael Ammermuller too, a very, very busy racing driver and race winner to the top step of the podium, Dennis Olsen. And it'll be time for National Anthem. So the National Anthem plays out for Dennis Olsen, who's awaiting his trophy now. Their next race for the Carrera Cup will come up tomorrow. A slightly longer race duration for them. As loads of cars go out with taxi rides around the circuit now to drown out the sound of the podium. Christopher Zögling receives his trophy for taking P3. Next up it will be Mikael Ammermuller then for his P2 place. He led for so much of the race, but in the end it wasn't enough. And it was Dennis Olsen that was victorious, but here comes Mikael Ammermuller's trophy. Fantastic trophies here in the Carrera Cup. And there, Mikael Ammermuller nearly smiled. You see what I'm saying? It just looks, you know, it's just very focused.
I mean, as a driver, when you are starting from pole,
yes,
ideally, we always have kind of an internal rule which says either you end up farther away, so more in the front as you started, or you keep your position, but never drop a position. I mean, it's you start in pole and you come back P2. So obviously it's not the best of the feeling. You're in the podium, but you wanted to win. You saw already yourself there in the front.
Yes. There they are, the 1, 2, 3. From your left, Mikael Ammermuller. The middle, Dennis Olsen, the race winner, and Christopher Zögling on the outside. And here comes the bubbly time then for the guys to celebrate up there on the podium, and also celebrate by ensuring that quite a bit of the champagne heads down the way of the team. So Dennis Olsen then race winner, Mikael Ammermuller P2, Christopher Zögling P3. Thomas Preining, Nick Yellerly, Larry Tenvorder, then it was David Kolkman, Luca Rettenbacher, and Skoog taking P9 with Piana taking the P10 place. So there we have it. Longer race for Carrera Cup to come tomorrow. The first shorter race done and dusted for today. The drivers can go off and relax. The engineers can work on those cars ahead of what is effectively quite an early start for them tomorrow morning. Pretty sure the race is on track at something like
9:10, I think. 10 to.
You've remembered it already. 10 past 9.
10 past 9.
Yeah, so very early doors. They're on track tomorrow when the track temperature will be at its coldest. And there is just a hint of, depending on which weather forecast you look at, of it not being necessarily dry tomorrow, Alex Torrell, and then the setup of the car's got to be completely different, hasn't it?
Yep, exactly. We already checked a bit the weather, and it's probably going to be wet tomorrow, so it's going to make the race even more interesting.
Well, we'll see. Weather plays a part. So B category podium now. Wolfgang Triller. Wolf Natan on the right-hand side. National anthem time. On the top step of the podium then, Wolfgang Triller, Carlos Rivas, P2, P3, Wolf Natan. So the B category. I have to say, this has always impressed me with the Carrera Cup, Alex, is those B category drivers. When you consider that Wolfgang Triller finished P12 overall, they're not slugs out there, are they, in terms of keeping up with the pro drivers?
No, you're right. You're right. They have quite a good performance. They show sometimes they can really be putting pressure in the pro guys, in the A category guys.
Yeah.
Like we saw now with Wolfgang Triller. That's his second year now.
Yes.
And he shows he can be close to run into the top 10.
For sure. Carlos Rivas then receives his trophy for P2. And then it'll be Wolfgang Triller right on the top step then, P1, that collects the winner's trophy. In the B category then, now, as Alex explained right at the beginning of the program, primarily these drivers have very, very different careers away from motor racing. Motor racing isn't their primary focus, and therefore they race very much for fun. And Wolf Natan is another long-serving member of the Carrera Cup B category. Super guy as well. Runs a company called Natan Industries, which deals in underfloor heating, if I may mention that. And very, very fit man is Wolf Natan in terms of working out and gym work that he does. He and I have many conversations with regards to that. Sadly, all the inspiration that he's offered me has clearly failed miserably. But there we have it. Join us for race number 2 tomorrow from the Porsche Carrera Cup. From Alex Torrell and myself, bye-bye for now.